Now in this next section, we're going to look at 3 different exercises that really help mobilize the foot. The foot is designed to move. It's an amazing design. However, a lot of dancers brace off their foot in an attempt to stop rolling when they're going on fondue. In reality, we actually want the foot to deform a little when it's going on fondue, and this mobility can really help increase your point range. So we're going to go over exactly how that happens. The first exercise is our 3D calf mobiliser, and we're going to do 2 different versions of this. The first one we're actually going to do with the leg reasonably vertical. Then we're going to use the rotation of the thigh bone and of the tibia to drive the mobility of the midfoot. So if we think of turning our thigh bone out, this will draw the foot up into a supinated position, helping mobilise into a point range. Then as we turn the thigh bone in, it'll actually deform the middle of the arch and create a bit more openness as we move into the fondue. So we're just going to oscillate between turning out and turning in and turning out and turning in to really mobilise this midfoot. Now, I've used this technique for quite a few years now, and when we first started, it was amazing because previously I'd had to do a lot of very manual work to keep this area of the foot mobile in young dancers. I'd work on them for a while and they'd get great, and then they'd go away, it would stiffen up, and they'd have to come in more frequently. Since using this, dancers have been able to mobilise their own feet, which makes them much more independent and getting much greater range far easier. So we're going to get Sarah to go through 2 different versions of this exercise. So the first one, we're going to bring the right foot back a tiny bit, use the left heel just on top of that big toe joint. This is just to anchor this down, especially if your foot's been quite tight for a while, so the whole foot doesn't lift up. Thinking of the thigh bone rotating, and this will gradually draw this foot up into an arched position. Then she'll slowly rotate back down until the arch deforms and gets quite flat through here. And again, rotating up and really trying to keep nice and soft and relaxed through the front of the ankle. The movement is driven by the rotation of the thigh bone rather than by lifting up all those tendons around the ankle and then rotating back down. Just keep going there, love. So about how many you need to do depends on the day. If you've already done lots of massage and mobilising techniques and it's a warm summer's day, you may not need to do too many. However, if you haven't done much massage work and it's cold and everything's a bit frozen up and you had a heavy rehearsal the day before, you might need to do more. So usually anywhere between 5 and 20 just to get all of those bones sliding over each other and feeling a little more juicy. Then we'll take this leg back into a tiny calf stretch, just enough so they feel a very gentle pull. It's not a strong stretch. If you go too deeply, you won't actually be able to mobilise the foot. So in that position, we're going to think of rotating the thigh bone and then rotating back in. Beautiful. Now the number 1 priority is that the foot moves. If you've taken it into too deep a calf stretch, this won't happen. Bring it back in. The second priority is that you get a little bit of a gentle feeling of mobilising deep in the back of the calf. The third is that you're actually using your turnout muscles to rotate that thigh bone. And the fourth is that your hips stay nice and square. So if you're working with young students or if you're younger yourself, you might want to just focus on getting the foot moving first. As you get more control, then you want to make sure you can keep all the rest of the body nicely aligned and really make sure you're getting a nice isolation from the hip. Yep. Then come back into parallel, try a plie and a rise and just see how much of an effect that's had on the freedom in the foot. Good, you can see that one goes into fondue a little bit easier. Come back up and then rising. Beautiful. And this one is starting to get a little bit more range where it was our stiffer side in the beginning. Now it's starting to catch up with the left hand foot.